What's up, guys? Good morning. How we doing? So today we're talking baseball, football. We're always talking football because it's heading towards mid-August. We're going to talk about football virtually every single day from here on in, so get comfortable and get used to it. But today we're starting somewhere else. It's basketball. And I know it's 2 days in a row with basketball news, and it's a weird story, and it makes me mad. So we're going to get into that in just a second. This is the Dave Talk Sports Podcast, episode number 35. I'm your host, Dave Ettinger. I am of CBS Sports Radio Network, and you guys join me every morning on my commute home from CBS Sports Radio Network. But you will notice at this point, I'm still sitting still. Not going straight home. I have a maintenance appointment on the car today, so we're going straight to the dealership. I got some time to kill, so we're just going to do this sitting still. So we'll enjoy that. No escapades on the road today. So no one trying to run us off the road. No one trying to kill us. No people throwing things out of their window. No guys randomly yelling at me from the Long Island Expressway. And I won't be halfway home to Long Island where I live halfway through the podcast. So we're going to sit still for the duration today. But let's jump right in. Of course, this is the Dave Talk Sports YouTube channel. Please subscribe right below this video and leave some comments as well. I am going to pose some questions to you today, but let's start with the NBA news that dropped yesterday. It's got to do with LeBron James a little bit. He responded to it. It's got to do with Rich Paul. We're calling it the hashtag Rich Paul rule. And it's ridiculous. So, rules that are made by hypocritical, just inane organizations that are as corrupt as can be make me angry. So you could talk about FIFA, you could talk about, and what we're talking about today is the NCAA, you could talk about any organization that's corrupt. And the NCAA is near the top of that list. And it should make you angry. When a coach signs a contract to coach at a certain school, whether it be a football team, a basketball team, whatever, when you get some bigger name recruits in Division I football or basketball, these big name, schools and programs like Duke in North Carolina and Kentucky in basketball, and Alabama and Clemson and all these teams in football. These players then get recruited directly by those coaches. Now, a lot of the coaches for the schools I'm talking about have longevity. They stay there for a long time. You don't see Coach K from Duke just getting up and leaving, today, tomorrow, or the next day. But players are directly recruited. These coaches come, they sit in your living room, they talk to you and your parents, and they meet your family, and they recruit you. They try to convince you that this is the school, the program, the opportunity for you, even the education, if that's part of it. For the most part, the athletes I'm talking about are not going to these schools for the education, and that's fine, because they changed the rules, at least in the NBA, over the last decade, where you can't go directly from high school to the NBA. Now, it's always kind of been different in the NFL. You have to be in college or removed from high school for 3 years because the physicality from high school to the NFL is so different. There's such a big jump there that I get that. But in the NBA, guys like LeBron James, they went directly from high school to the NBA, and he did just fine. So this rule that you have to be 19 or 1 year removed or play in Europe or go to college for a year, it's ridiculous to begin with. But the rule that we're talking about today just makes me angry. So, all right, if you're in college and you're one of these big time, NBA prospects in college, and you want to leave early to go to the pros, the agent that you sign with now has some new requirements to obtain you as their client. So to take on a guy like Rich Paul, who is LeBron James's friend / agent, he's got some high-profile names where, his clients, wouldn't be able to sign him as your agent in this situation because the new rule, one of the criteria of this new rule, is that the agent must have a bachelor's degree. Okay. Yeah, all right. So I'm going to try not to get too angry here. So let's start with why. I don't know. I don't know. I teach my kids, and my parents taught me, education is very important. Get an education, you can figure out the rest. Get an education, everything else will fall into place. Education is very important. Some people look at it as just a piece of paper, a diploma, but it opens more doors for you than if you don't have that diploma, if you don't have that piece of paper. And I get that. I went to school, I got a bachelor's degree in media and communications, and I'm now working at CBS Sports Radio Network. I have bigger dreams and aspirations as we go forward and as I move forward in life, and I work very hard to not only put food on my table, but get where I want to be. And what we're doing right now, talking to you, is one of the things that helps me hopefully perfect my craft and improve every day on talking about sports. And hopefully one day I will be on the air full time talking to you guys, whether it is CBS Sports Radio Network or the local affiliate, WFAN, or wherever it may be. This is what I want to do for a living. But without that education, without that piece of paper, I get it that I wouldn't be where I am today. But first of all, that doesn't necessarily mean you need a bachelor's degree. Okay, so in my line of work, you could have gone to the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. All right, that's a school. It gives you a certification, but it doesn't give you a bachelor's degree. So you can do that. You can sign up for the Army when you're 18. You don't need a bachelor's degree to do that. You don't necessarily have to have a bachelor's degree for a lot of lines of work. You can go to a trade school and have a lot of respectable jobs. You can own your own business and you don't have to have a bachelor's degree. So while education is supremely important, and it should and can open more doors for you than if you don't have it, it's not the end-all be-all to success in life. It's just not. If you're healthy and happy and you have family, friends, and love and all these other things that are important, yeah, we all need money to survive. That's why we work. But hopefully you like what you do, and you didn't necessarily have to go to school and then graduate with a bachelor's degree or more to get into the line of work that you have. I mean, how many people watching this video right now or out there in the world don't have a bachelor's degree and are fine people who are just happy, just as happy, if not more happy than the rest of us? It's ridiculous. So to outline that in writing, that your agent to go from college to the NBA must have a bachelor's degree, it's ironic, and it's like an oxymoron. It's stupid. It's stupid that this is a rule. Stupid and a bachelor's degree and education shouldn't collide in the same sentence, but they do here because this rule is flat out stupid. Now, if we can dig a little bit deeper, some of you may not like this. Some of you may not agree with me. I think this rule is racist. I think there are some racial overtones to this rule. I think the NCAA feels that there are minorities and people who try to take shortcuts to get to where they want to be. And I'm not saying that's how I feel. That's what I think this rule has to do with. And you saw LeBron James's response. LeBron James didn't go to college. He doesn't have a bachelor's degree. And you guys know me. I don't care if you're white, black, Latino, Asian, purple, pink, yellow. I don't care what race, culture, and I don't care where anyone's from. I respect everybody. I love everybody, no matter where you're from, what you do, how you think, how you feel. I treat everybody with respect. So for me, it has absolutely nothing to do with that. But LeBron James even said in his tweet response, you can't stop this culture. You can't stop what this is. I mean, it's ridiculous. And that's why everyone's calling it the Rich Paul rule. So why? Why in the world do you need a bachelor's degree to be an agent to bring people from college to the pro level of NBA? It's a head scratcher for me. Maybe I'm reading too far into it. I don't think I am. And you tell me if I am. So find me in the YouTube comment section below. It's the Dave Talk Sports YouTube channel. You can find me on Twitter at DaveEttinger2. I'm going to retweet LeBron James's tweets when we get done here. And you can also find me on my Facebook page and website, both named Dave Talk Sports. So I could talk about this all day. Makes me angry. But we got other things to talk about. So, really quick on the baseball. I've been talking a lot of baseball lately, but the Mets and the Yankees, they can't seem to lose, either one of them. And I'm starting to show the Mets a little bit more respect. But I'm pumping the brakes, and you know I'm pumping the brakes because they're still playing the Marlins. They played the Pirates and the White Sox and all these bad teams. So is this a product of the Yankees, despite their injuries, playing the Orioles and playing a bad team and still winning? And the Mets playing the Marlins, a really bad team as well, and still winning? Or is the other shoe going to drop, not just on the Mets, but on the other team, the Yankees? And the Yankees are pretty much running away with their division, so they have more to lose, but they're not going to lose the division. And the Mets have more to lose in that they may not make the playoffs. We'll see what happens in the coming weeks and months. I looked at the Mets' schedule again, and from August 20th to September 18th, in that span, they played 28 games, and they play the likes of the Indians, the Braves, the Phillies, the Nationals, the Dodgers, the Diamondbacks, and the Rockies. They get the Royals mixed in there somewhere, and they'll win some of these games. But if they're still a couple games over 500 at that point, and then they go 11-17, 12-16, what happens to that second wild card? It's poof, gone. I know Mets fans think I hate them, but look at the schedule. So we'll see what happens. Enough about baseball. The rest of the time we're going to spend on some football because, like I said, it's August, and every single thing we do from here on out will be somehow football related. Every single day. So I posed this question yesterday, and I'm going to repose it because I really want to get a response out of you guys. If you right now, and it doesn't have to just apply to the league that I run in fantasy football, but if you have the number one pick in a fantasy football draft, whether it be standard, half PPR, full point PPR, 10, 12, or 14 teams, one division or two, keeper or not, and I guess keeper and redrafts are very different, but who's the number one pick in your draft? Who are you taking right now? If you're in my league, a 12-team PPR, my answer is very unpopular, although he can clearly be the best running back in the NFL, is Le'Veon Bell. It has nothing to do with being a Jets fan. I think Saquon Barkley is very talented. I think in a PPR, Christian McCaffrey is very valuable. But I just think Le'Veon Bell is going to be the number one option in that offense all day, every day. An improved offensive line. They do have Robbie Anderson, who could take some attention away from Bell. They have other running backs that are decent. Chris Herndon comes back from his suspension. I think he's going to be a nice weapon as well. As when you look at Barkley and the Giants, the offensive line I don't love. The quarterback is not good, and he's literally their only weapon. Golden Tate suspended 4 games. Sterling Shepard with a broken hand, or wrist, or whatever it was. And Corey Coleman, who they brought in, out for the year. So their receivers are falling apart. They have Evan Ingram is basically their number one receiver right now at the tight end position. So they're going to rely heavily on Saquon Barkley, but it's tough when you are absolutely the only weapon in town. So we'll see. And then there's guys like Todd Gurley, can absolutely be the number one guy. But are you taking him with your number one pick in fantasy football when you don't know that he's 100% healthy? And then that leads us to the other conversation we're going to have today. You have two major holdouts. So we've been talking about holdouts in the NFL, and that's Zeke, Ezekiel Elliott, and Melvin Gordon. Zeke of the Cowboys, Gordon of the Chargers. So Ezekiel Elliott is one of the best running backs in football. He would potentially be the number one pick in fantasy football if he was not holding out. So Ezekiel Elliott says, I'm not showing up to play football for the Cowboys in 2019 and 2020 without a new deal. So it looks like he's ready to dig in and say, sorry, not doing it. I need a new deal or I'm not showing up. It's interesting because they seemingly need to pay Amari Cooper at the wide receiver position. At some point, they need to pay Dak Prescott at the quarterback position. And while I don't think Dak Prescott is all that good, the NFL works and revolves around quarterbacks. You don't have a quarterback who's top half in the league or at least top 2/3 of the league, you can't win at all. Personally, I think you need a top 10 quarterback to even have a chance to win a Super Bowl, and I don't think Dak Prescott is that. But if you have Amari Cooper, you have other weapons, and you have Zeke Elliott, then you have a chance with a guy like Dak Prescott. Protects the ball, he can run a little bit, he doesn't turn the ball over that much, but he can't stretch the field. He can't win by himself. You saw when Zeke was suspended, you can't rely on Dak Prescott and his right shoulder to throw down the field and win games by himself. So it's really interesting what the Cowboys do with their salary cap, with all these holdouts, with all these contract situations. And then you look at Melvin Gordon, who was apparently offered $10 million a year for multiple years, and he's like, nope. Allegedly even asked for a trade. I don't know how true that is, but it's very interesting. And the running back position is not what it used to be. It's not the days of Emmitt Smith and Barry Sanders and Warrick Dunn and Marshall Faulk and all these guys, Jamal Anderson, Jamal Lewis, Terrell Davis, you name it. I mean, there's great running backs throughout the 80s, 90s, into the 2000s. LaDainian Tomlinson's even, Sean Alexander's, Curtis Martin, Jerome Bettis. I mean, I just keep naming them. The running backs aren't built this way. They aren't given, 40 carries a game, where they're really the focus, the centerpiece of an offense. It's the quarterback and the receiver. Protect the quarterback, get after the quarterback. That's it. Running backs are replaceable. Running backs are essentially a dime a dozen. And that's why the Chargers, as much as I'm sure Philip Rivers loves having Melvin Gordon, he says, we're going to play with the guys who show up. We're going to play with the guys who are here. And that's kind of the mentality. Next man up, we'll deal with it. Running back's kind of replaceable. Now, when Keenan Allen goes down and maybe Mike Williams goes down, then Philip Rivers may start crying and complaining like we know he likes to. And you're not getting complaints out of Tom Brady because he just constantly wins and plays with nobody. But if Matt Ryan lost Julio Jones, if Deshaun Watson lost DeAndre Hopkins, you'd hear some complaining and they'd be upset. But when you lose running backs, unfortunately, they're for them they're pretty replaceable, and they're also very dependent on their offensive line. So we'll see what happens. It's very interesting with the holdouts that are going on right now. Now, I need to go get this bad boy to its scheduled maintenance appointment. So that's where I'm going to head right now. It is Wednesday morning, August 7th, 6:29 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm Dave Ettinger, your host of the Dave Talk Sports Podcast, episode number 35. You find me right here on my YouTube channel named Dave Talk Sports. Please subscribe below this video and leave some comments as well. Who are you taking with the number one pick in your fantasy football draft? If you have the number one pick, are you paying Melvin Gordon? Are you paying Zeke Elliott? What are you doing with the rest of the contracts that need to get fulfilled in Dallas? And what do you think of this stupid rule? Do you think it's stupid that agents need a bachelor's degree to represent potential NBA stars coming out of college early? Personally, I don't get it. I think it's ridiculous. NCAA needs a mirror held in front of its face. Ridiculous. Oh, yeah. So we're going to let coaches leave whenever they feel like it, even if they're in the middle of their contracts. But if the players want to leave, they have to miss an entire year and redshirt because they wanted to transfer, even though they were brought in specifically because of that coach, by that coach. But now the agents need to have a bachelor's degree to represent these kids? Makes no sense. I shake my head at you, NCAA. Smarten up. Be better. Get better. And screw you. On that note, enjoy your Wednesday, everybody. See you tomorrow.